Hello and welcome to the Calm Cast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calm Cast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today I'm talking about unhelpful thoughts, and this came because I spotted again, I've spotted it a few times, a sign on my walk, on a regular walk that I go on. And it says on the gate, in a big yellow sign with black writing on it, it's a warning sign. It says, "Beware of bull." and being a little bit of a grammar police, I really want the word "the" to be in "beware of the bull." Either way, I actually do love the sign because it's a lovely reminder, really, of our own system, which has a lovely way of telling us when we are when there's bull going through our heads. I'm not going to say the other word. You know exactly what I mean, don't you? BS. We're allowed to say that, I think. When there is that unhelpful thinking going through our heads, and that when we know we've got unhelpful thinking, it's probably better not to do various things. It's probably better not to speak to somebody you love when you have unhelpful thinking. It's probably better not to make a decision, especially a big one. I mean, you can decide whether you can have tea or coffee, but making any big life-changing decision is not a good idea from that place. It's probably not a good idea to act and do anything to your own body or anything that's going to have an impact on somebody else or you when you are in a place of bull, unhelpful thoughts going across your mind. The thing is, how do you know? Like, we go through life, don't we? And I think this is one of the things that a lot of people perhaps don't see, and I didn't see for such a long time. That this noise in my head, this continual, Claire noise, it's not really who I am, but it is the noise that's in my head, isn't true. A vast amount of it is not true. And that is, well, it's a little bit mind-blowing, I think. Because when you've spent 50 odd years with that noise in your head, to have the realization that it's not true is, or that an awful lot of it isn't true, pretty mind-blowing, really. I mean, it's all part of the wonderfulness that we are as human beings. It's all that. It's all part of that. But a lot of it isn't helpful. So what I'm pointing to today is that we have a system that lets us know when to be aware or beware of the bull, beware of the unhelpful thoughts, how to be aware of unhelpful thoughts. And there's just one really simple way. If it feels rubbish, if it feels bull, then it is. If you have an anxious feeling, an angry feeling, all of which, by the way, is totally fine and part of being human, know that that is your warning system letting you know that you have unhelpful thoughts. That's it. That's it for today, folks. No, I'll probably waffle a little bit longer, but that's it. That's what we have. That's the system that we have. We have a system that is wired perfectly, a system that lets us know when our thinking is bull, when our thoughts are unhelpful, because it makes us feel dreadful. And it's when you realize that it isn't anybody outside of you. Like, and as I'm saying this, it's just settling into me even more. It isn't anybody else. It is not your partner. It is not your mother or your father or what anybody did to you in the past. It's not your children. It's not your boss, no matter how much of a pain in the backside they are. It's not that annoying client. It's not anybody. It's not the situation that we're in at the moment with the economy and the world. It's not any of that. That feeling is only ever telling you one piece of information. What's the state of your mind? What level of bull? It's like a bullometer. I've made up a new word. I love it. A new thing, actually. It's a bullometer. How much bull is in your head? Well, if you are in one of those really uncomfortable feelings that just feel awful, and we kind of know, don't we, that we're not thinking straight when we feel like that. Sometimes we spot it. You know, I'm sure you, like I, have written an email rapidly from a place of, how very dare you, or some such feeling, and then realised and left the email in your outbox, in drafts, probably. Outbox, probably there is one of those. And then the next time you look at that email later on when you've calmed down, you just go, oh my goodness, thank goodness I didn't send that to anybody. Because it's awful. Because the system that you have doesn't really need you to do anything for it to reset. It just needs to see. It needs you to see. As soon as you see, it sorts itself out. And sometimes that takes a few minutes. Sometimes it takes a bit of time for you to see and for it to settle back down. But once you see it, it doesn't take long at all. And I think that's partly because when you see it, you don't act. You don't make a decision. You don't speak. You don't do something in the world towards somebody else or to yourself. You just wait. And it passes on its own. There's just so little to do. It's just like, it's like having your own internal virus software. You know, I've got virus software. I'm going to name which one actually, because then I'll have to go, the software, virus software systems are available. You know, I've got something, every so often it flashes up and said, we've found a thing and we've quarantined it, put it in a box somewhere. I don't know what it does. I don't know where it puts it. Computer. Hopefully it takes it away. But that you've got an icky feeling, and that's like your virus software going, hello, you've got a mind virus right now. It's temporary. It's not like, ooh, you haven't got a permanent mind virus. Just got a temporary mind virus. Maybe just give yourself a minute while we just quarantine it. And your system then just comes into play, like my virus software and your virus software. Hope you've got some, by the way. Really is necessary. It comes into play. It starts to work, and it just pops, lets that go. Because I think the virus software probably just removes the virus from my computer, and your mind, you know, your system does the same. It just goes, right, off we go, takes it away. That's how clever it is. It's really simple when you see it. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and there's a lovely lady called Mavis Khan who was on that podcast with Rahini and Angus Ross, and that's what they were pointing to, really seeing that we're just fine and the system is set up, but saying that it's so simple. I did lose my train of thought completely then for a moment, by the way. If you didn't notice, I'll just fess up that they were saying that it's so simple that in a complicated world like the one we've created for ourselves, because we've created it, by the way, it didn't just happen, it's sometimes hard to go, what, it's that simple? But I don't need to do anything. I don't need to fix myself. I don't need to do loads of tools and techniques. I don't need to do 16 hours of meditation. I don't need to do all of that. I just need to understand these things about myself and how I'm working, and not just how I'm working, but how everybody else is working too, because that's helpful to know that this is universal. Universally, you have a system that lets you know when you've got unhelpful thoughts. And so does Uncle Tom Cobley and all. I've said that for a long time. It's proper northern. That's it. And once you're back in a settled place, everything just looks different when the ball has passed. Literally, out of your head. So, simple one today, but fundamental to us navigating life from a nicer place. Lots of love. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calm Cast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.